What's going on, Facebook Live? Welcome to Keep It Real Fridays, and welcome to another Friday evening live stream. And we are so grateful to be back after being off for a couple weeks. And so we're going to go ahead and get started and just prepare for an awesome night of ministry with two women of God that are such a blessing to my life and such a blessing to my ministry. But first, before we get started and bring those persons in, I just want to kind of give you an idea of what Keep It Real Fridays is if this is your first time logging into the live stream. Keep It Real Fridays is a vision that God gave me many years ago. A little bit over 15 years now, or we're in the 15th year now of doing Keep It Real Fridays. Keep It Real Fridays started as a youth and young adult service throughout the DC area. And it started as a vision where just being able to bring young people together and to bring them together and just to have an untraditional service where young people could worship in their own safe space in their own authentic way, and just allowing different forms of ministry to go forth, like mime, dance, poetry, spoken word, rap, different genres of music like gospel go-go. It's been gospel rock. It's been all types of stuff at Keep It Real Fridays to allow young people to connect in their own way. And so we've been doing this for a long time, and it started out with just a group of young people, with 7 people, and then it just expanded over the years. If we had as many as 300 young people at a Friday night service worshiping in the DMV area. But since then, of course, it's the pandemic, so we haven't been able to do traditional Keep It Real Friday service and bringing people together. And so we're using this platform through Facebook and through YouTube to be able to share in different ways as it pertains to youth and young adult ministry. And often we bring artists, we're bringing speakers, we're just bringing different people that have a heart and passion for ministry or for young people or for young adults, to be able to engage and just talk about different topics of ministry, or just allow youth or young adult artists to minister in their own way. So that's a little bit about Keep It Real Fridays. And so I want to go ahead and get started because I have two awesome individuals, like I said, that are going to minister this evening. So this first person is very close to me, and I'm going to bring her in and just introduce her. All right. So this evening, Facebook and YouTube, I just want to bring to you my good friend, Yolanda Nora Judge. She goes by Nora Judge. And so I'm excited that she's here with us. So, so I'm going to introduce her. So I want always like to try to introduce the connection to people to Keep It Real Friday. So actually, the church where Keep It Real Friday started at, uh, sorry about that. The the church that Keep It Real Friday started at is was Gospel Missionary Baptist Church, which is now Connect Church. It did some rebranding over the years, and so through that time, I'm sorry, I got some tech stuff going on.
You good over there?
So, uh, yeah, I'm good now.
Okay.
So, just got some tech stuff going on. So I apologize, everybody. So the church was Gospel Missionary Baptist Church, where Keep It Real Friday started at, and this is where I actually met Yolanda Nora Judge, and so we've been good friends since then. And we have just, she's been kind of like my homie for like the last, I don't know how many years now. Is it like, it was like 2006, 2007? Remind me,
2008.
2008. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's been about 12 years now. So I'm so grateful for our friendship, and so grateful for what God is doing in her life. And since then, God has just done a whole bunch of things with her life and ministry. So she's a recording artist, or aspiring recording artist, where, she was just in the studio today doing some music. And we're just grateful that she leads praise and worship at Connect Church, and that God is just doing amazing things through her life and ministry. But I'm gonna let her introduce herself in her own way and tell the world about herself. And I'm gonna let Yolanda Nora Judge uh, take the stage, and she's gonna bless us with a selection this evening.
Okay, so as Thomas said, I am Nora. Um, he keeps calling me Yolanda because my government name is Yolanda Judge, and but my artist name is Nora, and that is a childhood nickname. So I've been Nora my whole life, even before I knew I was Yolanda. So if you look for my music online, which you can find it on YouTube, on Spotify, on you iTunes, Android, Google Play Store. I have a single out now. It's called Anyway. Again, my name is Nora Judge. That's how you can find me. So look it up, check it out. Tonight, though, I am going to sing a song from one of my favorite artists. Her name is Lauren Dangle. The song is called Trusting You. And basically, just encouraging people to trust God in your situations. It is a hard time right now. The world is upside down, and people seem to be turning upside down with the world. And so we just have to have an anchor, and God is our anchor. And regardless of how old you are or what situation you happen to be in during this pandemic, you still need God, and you still need to trust, and you still need to believe, and you still need to hang on to all the things that you were learned and that you were taught before the pandemic started, because God is forever the same, always, today, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's kind of what grounds me all the time when I know my life looks absolutely crazy, that I can trust God. So that's the song, Trust You. Okay, here we go. Letting go of every single dream, I lay each one down at your feet. Every moment of my wandering never changes what you see. I try to win this war, I confess. My fears are weary, I need your rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight. No matter what I face, you're by my side. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers, when I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. Truth is, you know what tomorrow brings. There's not a day ahead you have not seen. So let all things be my life and breath. I want you, Lord, and nothing less. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you don't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. When you don't give the answers as I cry out to you, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. You are my strength and comfort. You are my steady hand. You are my firm foundation, the rock on which I stand. Your ways are always better. Your ways are always good. There's not a place that I'll go you've not already stood. When you don't move the mountains, I'm needing you to move. When you won't part the waters, I wish I could walk through. when you don't give the answers as I cry out to you. I will trust, I will trust, I will trust in you. Amen.
All right, all right. God bless you. I
Amen.
will
I will
trust
trust
in
in you,
you.
God.
Amen.
Always, always,
Yes. I was
always.
trying to sing backup with you, but I had to put myself on mute, because the
Oh, I
harmony would have
remember
been
your
great,
days
but
singing at Gospel Missionary Baptist Church. You could have sung with me.
they said go back to youth ministry, go back to youth ministry. Oh man, but those were some good times, definitely some good
Yes,
times.
yes.
At Gospel Missionary Baptist Church, and just so grateful. Just seeing what God has done in your life, and just the many youth and young adults that just came through ministry at that time, and just to see many of them are just doing great, wonderful things in just different areas, and just God is allowing you to be used in your own way, and just being able to do ministry just through music, and just allowing yourself to be used on this live stream. And Yolanda won't tell y'all, but this was a little out of the box for her. But we're just grateful for
Way out of the box.
we're just grateful for the doors that God is opening in your life, and I'm just grateful to call you friend. And I'm excited because when she graces the concert stage, I just told her before this started, I'm gonna be blessed when I'm in the 29th row because she's just gonna be so big.
You're
You
gonna
know,
be in the front
God has
row.
done great things. Shout out to Pastor Jonathan and Pastor Kim.
Yes. Woo,
You know,
woo, woo, woo.
to allow me the opportunity to be a knucklehead youth pastor and young adult pastor at this church, and just pastors to Yolanda. So we're grateful for Pastor Jonathan and Kim Allen. So thank you, Yolanda. But before you go, just want you to be able to just share with us. I know you do this thing on Facebook and IG called The Appointed Life. If you could just tell us a little bit about that and just share how people can follow you on social media.
Okay, so real quick, my ministry is the appointed life. I believe that God has put us here for an appointed time, and that this is the time. This is the set time. This is now is the time when God can use you on the earth. So you can follow me at the appointed life on Instagram and on Facebook. I also have a website called The Appointed Life. I blog there a little bit, so you can check that out. But when my music comes out, it'll be on the website, and you'll get notifications and stuff on my social media pages. So please, please follow me at The Appointed Life on Instagram and Facebook, please.
Yeah, and y'all want her to sing at your church or your live stream,
Yes,
y'all hit her up and
give me
you
a
know
DM me.
sow into her life, sow into her ministry, because Miss Yolanda Noah Judge is doing great things for the kingdom. So thank you so much. My love is this big and beyond for you. So I'm so grateful
To
for you, my
infinity and beyond.
friend.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Bye.
Yolanda. See you later. All right. We're going to get ready for our next well, actually, our special guest speaker for this evening. And so I'm going to bring her in. And I am so grateful for my friend Stephanie K. Slayball. How
Hey,
are you, Stephanie?
I am good. How are you, Thomas?
I am doing good. I'm so grateful to have you this evening
Oh,
joining us. I want y'all to know as I introduce Stephanie, we don't get to talk often, but I have to say this, and I publicly am not lying. Stephanie is one of my favorite people in the kingdom that I've
oh,
ever met. And so just always, again, like I said, everybody pretty much that I've invited so far has a connection to Keep It Real Fridays. Many, many years ago, somehow I got in contact with her manager at the time, Kim Hickson at the
yes,
time.
yes.
And at the time, Kim had contacted me and let me know about Stephanie and, other artists that were on that label. And she was like, we had the opportunity for Stephanie to come out. And, I was like, sure. At that time, I was just like, we were just looking for kingdom minded people to come and bless young people, bless young adults. And Stephanie came and OMG, just powerful, powerful, just just beautiful voice, just beautiful ministry, and
Thank you.
just been a fan of your music ever since. And
Thank you.
often I remember just recently, you had did a live stream concert, and I think it was me and Ronelia was talking, and I was just like, I think Ronelia said that she was like, Stephanie's one of my favorite artists, and I was like, yeah, that's one of my favorite artists too.
Aw.
And we were just talking about just how great your ministry is, and we're just grateful for you to share. Stephanie is a motivational speaker. She's a recording artist. But this evening, she's going to share. Rich says she's my savior.
Not quite. I helped point him to the Savior. I love you, Rich. I love you, Rich.
That's a lot of pressure right there. She's
But
gonna
yeah,
put you up there
he's
with
a
Jesus.
good guy. He's a good-hearted guy, and I'm thankful to have been able to be used in his life.
So, like I said, she's a recording artist and she's a motivational speaker. But for the purposes of this conversation this evening we are talking on the topic of overcoming adversity. And so, as for long as I have known Stephanie, and I'm going to ask her in a moment to just really kind of dig and share her testimony if she feels willing to. That Stephanie's just been a fighter. And I know she's going to go into a little bit more detail. But one of the things I want to say, Stephanie, just, like we'll talk here and there, but I just always have the blessing of watching your spiritual journey through social media. And, there's just been times where, I would see a post and you were in a hospital or rushed to the hospital, or just always you were fighting, and it just seemed like, and the one thing that I love about you is that, like, because of who you are and your infectious personality, like the prayer warriors would go immediately to battle to pray.
They
And
would.
just and it was such, and I would comment and say praying, or
Yes.
just, or I would just individually just stop and pray, and just every time it was just like, it's just like I felt like I was witnessing a living miracle each
Yeah.
time. And so, and I just, time after time, I've just seen you overcome adversity, and like uh you're just so open to share about it. And I think a lot of times, we talk about what we go through, but you just give us a glimpse of just like, hey, this is what I've gone through, and
Yeah.
I'm a living testimony. But I want to just jump in because I don't want to tell your story, because that's not fair. But I just want you to jump in and just kind of tell us a little bit about your testimony this evening.
All right. So thank you for all those kind words. I'm over here trying to like keep my emotions together. Like, breathe. Um, but yeah, to sum it up, I'm stubborn. Like you said, I'm a fighter, and that stubbornness can be a very bad thing. But when you're faced with adversity and when you are stubborn in the spirit and you know the God that you serve is mighty and able, that stubbornness is a very powerful thing. And so that I call it the ginger. The ginger in me comes out when I'm facing hard times. And when that ginger comes out, don't nobody want to mess with the ginger, because she's a whole nother level of fighter. So but my testimony, I'd say, would begin when I was a young girl. You know, not everybody knows that I spent from about the age of 13 to 15. I was in 6 different psych wards. I dealt with severe depression as a child, suicide attempts. There was just a lot of pain as a kid. And I didn't understand life at the time. I believe there was an anointing on my life, but I didn't understand what it was. And the enemy was working real hard to snatch me up. And somehow that Jesus loving ginger came through, and she pushed and pushed and pushed. Um, so I still today still have some diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder. I deal with that, and I deal with depression and anxiety. Those are things that are very real in my life. But on top of that, about 12 years ago, I began to experience physical illness. So I began to pass out. I was losing muscle function. I would be walking and my legs would just give out and I would just kind of just collapse on the floor. I was in and out of hospitals, having severe seizures. My heart was reacting. My lungs were reacting. My kidneys were failing. So I've been in and out of the hospital so many times. They know me by name when I walk through the doors. And part of my testimony is the fact that after 12 years of suffering through this physical illness, I just recently have been given the diagnosis that I am in 100% full remission from all 5 of my rare autoimmune illnesses, which is unheard of. To go into remission from 1 or 2, that's one thing, but to go in for like all 5, that is God and God alone. And so it was a long 12 years. There were plenty of times that I should have died. There were plenty of times that I wanted to die because I was sick of suffering. I was sick of struggling with pain. I was sick of fighting the fight. I got exhausted. And so I'm finally in remission. And hi, Sandry. I'm finally in remission and God is faithful. And, you know, as we talk more tonight, I'll talk a little bit about the journey that I had to go through when walking through that adversity for sure. But yeah, it's that Jesus loving Ginger in me. She always comes through and she's ready to take on whatever's thrown at her.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So you first of all, that is amazing news.
Yes.
And you know, we have been talking for a little while about you coming on to Keep It Real Fridays for this, and we had talked about it a little while ago. But when I saw you post your video, I was just like, I need her to tell her story.
Yeah.
And but I want to go back in your story a little bit, Stephanie, because you talked about the depression. You talked about those because a lot of times I want you to speak of how you've pushed through to manage. And I've recently shared on a Keep It Real episode a couple weeks ago when we were talking a little bit about mental health. I shared about my own because I've been diagnosed with high anxiety and mild depression, and that I have learned that has been a part of my journey since high school. And it didn't even really, I didn't really realize it was a part of my journey like until a couple of years ago when I finally made a decision that I was going to go to counseling and go to therapy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, anybody that knows that's been to therapy and goes to counseling, you know, the therapist starts to pick apart or make you pick apart like, where did this start? And you know, those are some of the toughest conversations. And I remember that second session, I was just like, look, I ain't coming back, you know, because it was making me forced to look back at some things. But I want you to kind of just, if you're willing to just talk about how, because a lot of times, you know, when we talk about mental health in the church, you know, in the past, we've just told, you know, people come to the altar, they're struggling with this issue, like, you know, woman of faith, just pray about it.
The joy of the Lord is your strength. Yes. Yeah, I heard them all. I got them all growing up.
Let's just pray. Let me just take your hand and let's pray. You know, let's pray this out of you right now.
Yes.
And the reality is it's deeper than that. And if you could just touch on that and just how you've been able to navigate, because I believe there may be somebody here that's listening that may be navigating some of the same anxieties and depressions that I face and that you're still, you know, wrestling with, and just maybe they can hear from your journey.
Absolutely. So for me, I have learned that faith without works is dead. And a lot of times we use that scripture in certain contexts that make us feel good, but we need to look at that scripture as a whole. Faith without works is dead. So you can believe all day long that Jesus can heal you from depression, and that's great. I say believe it, I say claim it. But faith without works is dead. You got to work at it. Deliverance and healing isn't easy. And a lot of times we watch on TV and we watch at churches, and we'll have people running up to the altar the pastor throwing water at them or spitting at them, yelling at them or whatever. And all of a sudden they walk away and they say they're 100 times better. And does that happen? Yeah, sometimes it does happen, but more times than not, it's a process. And it's a process that requires you walking through the ugly, hard stuff. So for me, my biggest issue was I tend to sweep things under the rug, meaning I have a survivor mentality. So I face life and I say, I got this, I can survive. So something dramatic will happen and I'll just keep on going. I won't take the time to heal from that situation. I won't take the time to step back and look at how that situation has affected me. And so I just sweep it under the rug. Well, recently in my adult years, in my 30s, I suddenly found that this rug that I had been sweeping stuff under for so many years was now all jacked up and I was tripping and falling on my face because I never went to counseling to deal with the issues. I never went to therapy to deal with the depression. After the psych wards, I was done. I was convinced. I grew up in a church where it was, Jesus will heal you. The joy of the Lord is your strength. You don't need meds. You don't need this. And at the end of the day, faith is about saying, you know what, God, I trust that you can use a counselor in my life to give me wisdom and knowledge that I may not have. I trust that you can use a therapist. I trust that there are medications that you can use to help me be more in balance the way that you intended me to be. Because at the end of the day, we were born into a fallen world. That's just the reality. And there are going to be things that we struggle with. It's not God's fault. It's the fact that we live in a fallen world. So we have to learn to be able to say, you know what, I'm messed up in this area. The way that I say it to my young adults and the youth that I have pastored, I say, listen, we all suck at life and we all need Jesus. That sums it up for me. We all are just trying to figure life out, and we all need a little bit of Jesus, whether you're depressed or not. But I can say this when it comes to the spiritual side of things. Outside of me getting the counseling that I needed, the therapy that I needed, facing the post-traumatic stress disorder I had from abuse and sexual assault, I remember being 13 years old at one of these psych wards, and they had put me in a fully carpeted room. It was like an 8x8 fully carpeted room. I was on severe suicide watch. So they sat me in that room. I was in there for several hours. There was nothing in the room but the carpeted walls and ceilings. It locked from the outside, and there was just a little square window where people could walk by and just peek in and make sure I was okay every once in a while. I remember for the first time in my life, I realized I had nothing but my worship in that moment. I didn't have instruments. I didn't have friends that were going to sit in that room and talk to me. I didn't have my parents. I didn't have my pastor to give me these great words of wisdom. I didn't have my counselor. I didn't have my therapist. I didn't have anything but my voice. And I remember sitting in the middle of that room and just worshiping. And sometimes you just got to push yourself to worship through. Worship anyway. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling sad, start lifting your voice, because that is one thing that the enemy cannot come at you with. If you're singing praises and worship, the enemy cannot reside where your worship is. So you just keep on worshiping and you keep on praising, and also keep your counseling appointments and take your medicine if you've been prescribed medicine. So I'm a firm believer in both. Okay. God's able to use all things for my good, not just the things that sound good and nice and fancy.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Let let me ask you this. Through the whole time, going through those situations as you were younger, and also going through, having to deal just with the different illnesses that were not under your control. And, going into those moments where you're like, you're trying to push yourself in a place where you're trying to, worship through all of this. But I want to ask you a real question, because this is Keep It Real Fridays.
Yeah, keep it real.
How tough was it to maintain your faith during that time?
Oh, it was hard. It was hard. And I think, let me just clear the air and keep it real on Keep It Real Fridays. I think a lot of people, because I have an international ministry and I'm on platforms preaching and singing and all of that, I think people think that I'm constantly waking up saying, yes, Lord, you are holy, you are good. I may be depressed, I may be down, but you're faithful. And I'm constantly just in a state of like hyper holy spiritual warfare. And that's not my reality. That's not. I have days where my worship involves me screaming at God. It involves me literally face down on the floor, screaming at God, asking him, why am I going through this? Why are you allowing this? What is it that I'm supposed to learn? What are you doing? Why aren't you just snapping your fingers and fixing it? You're God. And there are so many times where I felt that way. One of the times that I can specifically remember is I had gotten out of the hospital a few years back, and I had gone through one of my worst episodes, one of my absolute worst episodes that I had yet. I had gone into seizures, lost consciousness, my legs weren't working. I was now home trying to recover, but I was paralyzed from the waist down. I couldn't walk. And my husband said, hey, I got to go somewhere. I'm going to run to the store. Don't get out of bed. Do not get out of bed. Now, side note, I'm really working on the submissive side of me as a wife. Okay. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. My strong ginger comes out sometimes. And in that moment, I was not being very submissive. So when my husband walked out the door, I decided, oh no, I'm getting out of this bed and I'm going to walk today. You best believe I'm going to walk. I'm getting out of this bed. This ginger's going to walk. And so I get out of bed. And of course, 2 seconds later, my legs give out and I face plant on the floor. And I remember sitting there sobbing before God, because not only was I physically incapable of doing what I wanted to do, my emotions were all over the place. I was angry. I was sad. I didn't understand what God was doing. And there was this little end table by my bed, and there was a glass of water. And I took this glass of water and I threw it against the wall, and the glass shattered everywhere. Water went all over me. So now I'm paralyzed, laying on the floor, and I'm wet in a pile of broken glass. And I just said, God, why? What am I going to learn through this? And his exact words to me were, you're going to learn to worship anyway. I think a lot of us know how to worship when things are easy. A lot of us know how to worship when things are going our way and when God is answering our prayers the way we want him to. But what we forget is that worship was created as a weapon. Worship was not just created for you to do when things feel good. In fact, it was more created for you to use when things aren't good, because it's a weapon in the kingdom of God. It is a weapon against our adversary. And so he was teaching me in that moment, worship anyway. And sometimes worship doesn't look like it looks like in church. Sometimes it's not the traditional lift your hands up and you look all sweet while a sweet little calm little tear falls down your face and you speak the Lord's name kindly, and there's beautiful music in the background. Sometimes worship is the sounds of you sobbing before God. Sometimes worship is the sounds of you saying, God, I can't do this anymore. I need you to do this for me because my fight is gone. And sometimes that's what worship looks like. And so we really have to get to that place where when we are broken down, when our depression and our brokenness and our mental battle, because our mind is a battlefield for the enemy. I mean, he loves to just skip around in there and play around if we allow him. But we have to get to that place where we say, you know what? This will not be your playground. And even if my worship doesn't sound pretty, and even if my worship doesn't look cute, because when I really worship, there's mascara running down my face. Things are all smeared. My hair's a hot mess. I'm bent over in all kinds of crazy positions. It is not cute, but it is a weapon, and weapons aren't supposed to be cute. They're supposed to be real and strong and in your face. And that's what we have to learn to allow our worship to be. We've been raised to make worship pretty, and that's not even what it was intended for.
Wow. So worship was one of your methods, but
Absolutely.
Can you share like what else? Because we're talking about overcoming adversity, and many times, like when we're going through stuff, like sometimes some of the difficult moments is like when we're in a place and we don't see the kind of like the end result, and we're telling people that hey, worship anyway, and we're saying like worship anyway, worship, press through, but we're like we can't see where God is going to come through. Like we don't see the blessing at the end of the journey. But the worship is one piece, but can you speak like what else helped you through? You know, we talked about therapy, we talked about you know, just the worship. What are some other things, maybe practical things, or maybe just other pieces of your journey that you're willing to share, that like it was this person or it was this thing that you know, I leaned on to help me get through this place of overcoming adversity?
Yeah, I mean, I am blessed. I know not everybody has this, but I am blessed with a beautiful family. I am blessed with a husband whose patience for me and my ginger ways is next to godliness. I mean, I don't know how he does it. Let's just give Josh Slaybaugh some credit, because side note, when I have these men from Facebook in my DMs, okay, trying to, I'm like, you don't even know what you're asking for. You
I
are looking
saw
at
that
the
the other
picture
day.
thinking that you're gonna get something cute. You do not even know. Like, you need to understand, okay? Let you have a conversation with Mr. Slayball and then see if you want to slide in my DMs. But no, I'm blessed with a husband who is patient and there for me. But I'm gonna be real honest here for a minute. So bear with me. Truth is what got me through a lot of times. It was being honest. It was being honest. I think a lot of times with our depression and anxiety and things like that, there are certain situations that make it worse. There are certain situations that aggravate it. And I was constantly feeling like I needed to be what everybody else needed. And I didn't feel okay saying, you know what, right now I need time. I'm not okay right now. And I need a few moments to get myself in line before I can be your hero. And I was constantly doing for everybody else. I was people pleasing. So I was running myself into the ground, trying to be what everybody else needed, because we feel that pressure on us, especially if we're in ministry or in church at all. It's you're always taught serve, have a servant's heart, serve, 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 and that's great and that's good. But sometimes you have to face the ugly truth that you're not in the state of mind to serve right now. You need to be in the state of mind to heal. And healing means you face truth. For me, I had to face the truth of some assaults that I dealt with. I had to face the truth of an adulterous affair that I had, because I was so broken that I turned to anything and everything else to try to fix, because I didn't want to face the hard stuff. So instead, I ran from it and tried to escape and distract myself from the pain that was within me. I think a huge thing that's really good for people to do is speak your truth. Whether you journal it out, write it out, and it's for your eyes only, whether you say, you know what, it's time for me to start sharing my story, whatever you decide, you have to speak your truth and stop trying to live a lie, because there are a lot of people that are hurting just like you and that feel like they have to hide it just like you. And you're all just hiding and broken, rather than everybody coming out and saying, yo, I'm broken. I deal with depression. I need help. I'm not okay. You would be surprised how many people in the church who walk in there every Sunday trying to pretend like they got it all together when they lift their hands up to Jesus have a battle that they are fighting, but they are fearful of admitting for that battle for lack of looking like they have no faith, or for the fear of looking like they have no faith. And so be real. And you know what? I'm inviting anybody who's listening right now, inbox me if you need to be real with somebody that has no connection to you, that's not going to think anything, or trust me, if you knew my history, I'm not going to be judging. There's going to be no judgment here. Message me, talk to me about your truth. Let's talk about it. Let's get it out there, because a lot of times depression continues to grow and get worse and worse and worse when we refuse to face our truth because it's scary or it's too ugly.
Mm, that truth thing,
That's
yeah.
hard.
And you just you reminded me of those therapy sessions a couple years ago.
Ugh. I walked
And
out.
have,
Listen, I'm the girl that walked out on one session. I looked at that woman and I said, "You don't know me," and I just walked my ginger ghetto attitude self right out of there. Like, just nobody's business, I mean, I am not an easy shell to crack. But and the thing about that truth, I'm gonna get real honest again. The thing
go ahead.
about that truth is, we don't just need to be truthful about when we were victimized. We need to be truthful about when we were also the perpetrators.
Mm.
And that's what a lot of us
Hold
fail
on,
to
can you say
do.
that? Hold on, can you say that one more time?
So we have to be truthful, yes, about when we're victimized. We all seem to do that. But we also have to be truthful about when we were the perpetrators. And that's
Mm,
where we stop. It's easy to tell somebody when you're the victim. Not easy, but it's easier. It's easier to say, I went through this. I went through this abuse. This person hurt me. It's a lot more difficult to sit down and say, I messed up. I hurt this person. I did that to that person. I lied to this person. I betrayed this person. It is a lot harder to do that, but it's necessary because guilt and shame and regret, that stuff can eat away at your soul, and it can definitely kill your joy.
yeah, yeah. One of the things, and you talk about speaking your truth,
Mm.
but one of the things I have to say that I desire is that people that are connected to me to tell me the truth.
Right,
'Cause this
right.
is, and it goes back to what you're saying, learning how not to just talk about when you were the victim, but learning how to talk about when you're the perpetrator. Because I need to hear when I am the perpetrator. Like,
Yeah.
don't sugarcoat it with me. Don't be super spiritual with me. Don't just tell me
Mm.
I did a good job, or don't just
Oh,
tell me
right.
that I'm doing the right thing, or I give me your honesty. Give me your true
Right.
honesty about where I am, and often we get that from who our true friends are. But
Right.
I that truth thing is something that we need to continue to just wrestle with daily, and whether it's us speaking or us receiving it. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
Um,
you're welcome.
Speaking of truth,
Yes.
and this is a good segue,
Mhm.
you started this new thing called Honesty.
Oh gosh,
Um,
I'm scared.
yeah,
I I did. I don't know what I've got myself into. No, I did. It is called Honesty, spelled Honestea, and it's a YouTube channel that is premiering on October 15th on my YouTube channel, which is Stephanie K Official. And basically, it is me sipping tea and spitting truth. That's how I sum it up. But this is where I get scared. I'm being real honest on this show. I'm addressing issues that the church often shies away from. I'm talking about things like, my first episode. The title of it is "Saved with Sex Appeal." That's the first episode. So I'm jumping right in. So we're talking about stuff that the church often kind of shies away from because they don't want to offend. But me being the ginger that I am, I'm kind of like, well, take me or leave me. It is what it is. So I just lay it all out there, and I base it on the word, but I also just speak and not watered down, not sugar coated truth. I just give the hardcore truth. I think we need more of it. It was a huge part of my healing. So I'm like, let's talk about it. So Honesty premieres 10/15. Some of you may not like me afterwards. But you know what? If 10 of you don't like me and you exit out of the show, but one of you is changed by it and you grow from it, then I say the vision was successful and I've done exactly what God's called me to do. So it's just whether or not, see, the question is, can you handle the truth? That's the question. Because I am definitely giving it on this show for sure.
wow, wow, yeah, and that's the one thing I appreciate about you. Again, just with me following you on social media and just kind of keeping engaged with your life, that's one thing I can count on you is
Yeah.
just being honest and being real. Like, I can remember one specific, and people probably think I'm a Facebook stalker, but I just watch.
No.
Sometimes I don't always comment, but I just
Yeah.
watch. And I remember you started speaking about the racial unrest that was going on, and I so appreciated just your post. I can't remember it was a post or a video, but I just remember you speaking to that, and I was just like, just thank you. That's all I could remember was just saying thank you
Yes.
when I saw your post, and whether your posts are serious or whether it's funny, because I admit, because when you just brought it up a few minutes ago, when you talked about the men jumping in your inbox, and I saw you post about that over there, I cracked up laughing. I was just like, wow. But I love how you were so serious, you were so honest, but you all handled that situation in love, and
Yeah.
you spoke so much about one of the things, as far as how you overcoming adversity is just having that family unit that's just so strong. And
Yeah.
I just admire just you and your marriage with Josh. And like I said, I just sit back and watch, and I just I'm grateful for that. And just thank you for your honesty at all times. There was something else you said, and I forgot my thought. Uh, but I want y'all, in the meantime, until I remember that thought, I want y'all to follow Stephanie on her social media platforms, which is scrolling on the screen. I want y'all to, if you have the opportunity to just sow into her life, sow into her ministry, just find out what she's doing. Follow that new series that's going to be starting on October 15th, Honest Tea. I know I will be. I can't wait. Oh yeah, I know what that thought was. I'm excited because you just said that I can be. You said the first episode is what again?
The first episode is titled "Saved with Sex Appeal."
Yeah, so I'm excited because I can now say I'm saved with sex appeal. I'm looking forward to what you're saying. That's
Listen.
gonna be my new tag on social media. That was my thought. The Lord probably didn't want me to say that. That's why it slipped my mind.
Hey, listen.
No.
Well, I actually invite Josh onto this episode, so he has a few things to say about it too. So it gets pretty interesting. I'm just warning y'all now. If you are super religious, like Pharisee religious, or if you offend easy, you may want to go to a different YouTube channel. But if you're up for the challenge to learn a few things and get some honesty, I definitely put that out there for sure. That's out there for sure.
Definitely. Well, I'll definitely be one of those ones that's tuning in. With segues to one of my last questions. You talked a few times about those topics that we just don't want to talk about in the church, and or may not be comfortable to talk about in the church. Why this platform? Why do you think these topics need to be discussed? How do you feel God is calling you to in this season to talk about things and using your platform, and in the midst of being willing to take the persecution?
Yeah, that's hard because I've accepted that there are going to be people that don't like me because of what I speak to. Just like when I spoke on racial injustice, anybody who really knows me knows that I fight against racism any chance I get. And I've lost friends and even family for that fight. And with the platform that I have, being a worship leader and a preacher, people often expect me to walk in and be kind of holy and say all the right things and speak all the Christianese. And I'm aware that what I'm choosing to do is going to cause some pastors not to book me. I'm aware that it's going to cause some venues to say she's too honest, she's too bold, she's too this or too that. I know that. But at the same time, I know that God has told me that truth needs spoken, because there are a lot of people that are hidden in hurt. And somebody has to be willing to step out and say, oh, you committed adultery. I went through that too. Let's work on healing that. Let's not condemn you. Let's pull you up out of that pit and let's help you through that. Let's restore your marriage. Let's help bring restoration. Oh, you struggle with addiction. Are those track marks on your arm? I don't care. Come on up to this altar. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about those track marks. Let's not hide them. Pull your sleeves up. Show me your wounds. The best way that I can say it is God gave me a dream one time that made my vision so clear. I have 4 little kids at home. Anytime they fall and they bust their knee, their immediate reaction is to take their hands and grab that wound and cover it up. And I often have to go over to them and say, guys, listen, you want me to help you. If you want me to help heal that wound, if you want me to make it better, I need you to uncover it so mommy can see it. I need to be able to see the wound. I need to be able to see the hurt so that I can provide the healing that you need. And that's what we need to do more of in the church. When we fall down and scrape our knee, as an analogy, instead of covering that wound and not allowing our Savior to come heal us and not allowing our leaders to come help us, we need to be able to say, you know what, here's my wound. I'm going to bleed out right here on this pew. I'm going to bleed out right here in this altar. And instead of the church judging and running from that blood, they run with love and arms of comfort, because the same grace that they require in that moment, I can promise you there will be a time in your life where you'll need it too. So we've got to start recognizing the essence of exposure and the importance of saying, here's my wound. This is what I'm struggling with. Please help me.
Mm, thank you. Thank you. My last question, I want to make it a fun like question. You have a new
Okay.
addition to the family. New addition to the family.
Uh,
Uh, now, if y'all follow Stephanie on Facebook, um, you know, they have a new addition to the family, and it's this really cute kitten that I like. I just look forward to the videos. I love your post, Stephanie, but I specifically look forward to the videos of the kitten.
I am so whipped by this cat. And I don't even like cats. I am a dog person through and through. I have a Great Dane. I have a Puggle. We also have 2 turtles, 2 rabbits, a bird. It's like a zoo here. But this cat was left by its mother and it was going to die. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take this cat in and then I'm going to give it away. I'm just going to take it in till it lives because I hate to see animals die. And here I am bottle feeding this thing every 2 hours. Okay, my last baby is 8 years old, and now I'm bottle feeding every 2 hours in the middle of the night, this little creature thing. And I can't get rid of him now because I'm attached and I'm whipped and I'm so far gone. And now I'm a weird cat lady, and there's no getting out of it. I brought it on myself. So that's my new addition. I'm ashamed to say it, but I am an official weird cat lady.
I love
done.
it.
It's done.
So when is the next cat coming?
No, don't speak. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Don't speak things into my life. There are power in your words. Oh man.
Oh man. All right. It's such an awesome time just being able to catch up with you and chat with you this evening, and
And
just
thank you. Thank you for what you do. I mean, you have stayed consistent. I remember years ago when I came, I'm older now and have more babies now, but I came and your ministry is so authentic and you are so committed to kingdom work. And with all the traveling I've done and all the people that I've seen who are all about platforms or whatever, you have never been like that. And I so appreciate your authenticity and your genuine heart for people and for the kingdom. You are making an impact. You are making a huge impact. And I'm so grateful for you and for what you do in the kingdom.
thank you, Stephanie. And honestly, with you sharing that, and I've shared with several people, I had a tough time even starting this live stream platform because I never want to be that person on camera, and I never want to be that person out front. And
Yeah.
there probably maybe some people that think, oh, here go Brackeen again. But if you really knew, like I struggled from
No.
Friday nights to even doing this, but then I realized after I have these conversations and after I bring guests like you on, and I'm just like, yes, gotta continue to do things. Oh, Chrissy's being nice. She said Thomas is the real deal.
You
Uh,
telling the truth.
I paid her about $50 to say that. Thank you, Chrissy.
Well,
Don't
you didn't
spend
pay
that for
me to say it, so you did not pay me to say it. It's officially true.
Don't spend that $50 all in one place,
Yeah.
Chrissy, for saying that on social media. But no, I appreciate Chris, and I thank you, Stephanie. And it's like you said, there's many people out here chasing platforms, but I'm always grateful to surround myself around kingdom-minded people, like yourself, like Yolanda. I'm actually bring Yolanda back in real quick. I'm gonna bring Yolanda back in. I'm so grateful for all these kingdom
Hey!
Stephanie, you
people.
are awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
ditto.
Oh, awesome.
So just want to thank you all again. I would just want to do a quick announcement before I let you all go, because I promised a friend of mine that I would shout out her also. We're talking about kingdom because I often use these type of platforms because I want to push everybody else's stuff, because I think everybody is just doing great work. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly first. There we go. So I want to shout out a great event going on in the Alexandria, Virginia area. It's a trunk or treat that will take place at Charles Drew School over in that area, which is being sponsored by a good friend of mine who has her organization Right Intentions, and is also being sponsored by the Green Valley Civic Association, Care Incorporated, and Knock Youth Enterprise, and others. So I invite those who are in the Alexandria area, who are around that area. They're planning on providing a safe atmosphere for people to come out and social distance, but also enjoy themselves in a safe environment on the evening of Halloween. So you don't have to, worry about what am I going to try to find to do with my kids that evening. So I encourage you to go check out that event if you're in the Alexandria, Virginia area and support Right Intentions and what they're doing. You can also get in contact with me because they're still looking for sponsors and people that want to donate to help offset the cost. So if you're feeling led to donate and or be a sponsor for that event, you can get in contact with me. I can get you in contact with Right Intentions. But thank you again, Stephanie. Thank you
You're
again,
welcome.
Wanda, Nora Judge. Amen.
Welcome.
And we're so grateful for just all that you've shared and just thank you for the ministry. Everybody loved y'all. They've been commenting this whole time. So that makes me say that I brought the right people on this Friday night.
Looks
God be the
like
glory.
looks like me and Nora are gonna have to hang out more. I
Yes,
guess.
we are. That's what I was thinking,
As
Stephanie.
you know,
I was gonna DM you when we got
it
off.
was a setup. God does that. He just sets us up.
God be knowing. God be knowing.
Well, there's a lot of people in the DMV say I'm a connector. I've gotten that nickname. So I'm glad this connection just happened.
Thank
So
you, Thomas.
Yes.
We
Thank you,
appreciate you,
Thomas.
the one and only.
The one and only. The great minister.
Yes.
oh man, see, I told you about calling out them titles. I told you I'm only saved 3 days a week.
Praise each one
Fridays,
of them. Right.
Sundays, and every other Wednesday.
Every
Every other Wednesday. So 2.5 no, I'm playing. Uh, so check us out. We're not going to have a Keep It Real next week. We'll come back in 2 weeks with two good brothers of mine, Bayeti and Lando Jones. They actually did a video with me where we talked about incarceration and prisoner pipeline system. There's actually a recorded video that we did in my house as one of the early episodes before we started the live stream. But we're going to actually bring these brothers back on the live stream, and we're going to connect on the 23rd. And also, we have some other exciting guests that are coming in. And if you know a young person that should be spotlighted on our live streams, I would love young people to just be a part of this. We're also working on another young adult before the voting time comes that put together some video presentations for the Smithsonian that talked about young people using their voice and voting. So we're hoping to get that young adult coming on and speaking about that. But until the next time, God bless you all. Thank you. Continue to pray for Keep It Real Fridays. Make sure that you sow into Stephanie K. Follow her on her social media platform. Also, you can follow Nora Judge. I'm gonna put her stuff on The Appointed Life at IG and Facebook. Please follow their ministry, support them. These are two great people that are very humble, but deserve the recognition of the great things that they're doing. God
Thank
bless you all, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
you. Bye.